There we go. Sorry, mic was muted. Didn't realize that. Alright, so I need to... It's weird that that looks transparent. I wonder if it is. No, that's not the thing. No, it's not. But something about this seems to cast a tint on that gray to where it almost feels like it's part of the colors. It's weird. I don't think it actually does, but anyway, so I need to redo the main character sprite because the old one looks like this. It's fine, but there's two issues there. One is it's pretty small. Actually, if you compare this new one to the old one, it's about 8 pixels taller. 8 or 9 pixels taller. Not counting the shadow, but yeah. Which is significantly taller, but it gives it more room to actually kind of express some kind of character, so I really don't know whether I'm happy with this sprite entirely, but it's a pass at something. Hard when you only have this many pixels, though, to know what to do. Anyway, main thing I'm concerned about is I want to come up with different directional frames for a standing sprite, at least, if not an animation sprite. Which basically means I need 3 times as much as this, which just doesn't give me a percentage, which is kind of annoying. Let's say it's 44, 66. That's fine enough. So obviously the easiest thing to do will be to do a reverse, because you just kind of take the same thing but reverse it directionally. Which is really just kind of filling in the back of somebody's head. Might be worthwhile to flip the posture. Problem is I also flipped the lighting a little bit on the legs. So one of the things I don't really like about this is the way the selection works. guess I do want it flipped a little bit, but... It's almost flipped entirely, actually. Although realistically, this should be flipped as well, shouldn't it? So Shift H. That looks pretty good. Okay. Yeah. I made some changes there, didn't I? Alright, so now I have a standing animation, which is just like hair blowing in the wind, so I'm just gonna basically move that to the next frame as well. Kind of makes sense to me to just copy this. And then flip it. Much like I did with the other one. Feels weird if I have it like wagged that much. You know? I'm gonna go back a little bit. I suppose the cheapest thing to do when you're doing this kind of sprite is to actually do like a diagonal. Like if you have the player facing this direction, then you can use that for moving right and moving down. So it's just like one sprite that way, one sprite that way, and then you just have four. You have two sprites and you flip-flop them. Whereas this, you have 3 or 4 sprites, usually 3. You usually do 3 and then you flip-flop on the left and right. This one's going to require the most like reworking, the side view one. First off, I need to separate the feet. Otherwise, it's not going to be readable. Decide how far apart to put the feet though. Oops, looks like I didn't fill in on that layer properly. tell what to do exactly. Let's see, eyes should probably be at the same spot roughly. Not sure why it looks like the eyes should be lower. Probably I just need to move the whole head up slightly. I need to change the background color here so it's a little clearer. Part of why it looks strange. It's typically the legs are a little longer. Yeah, it's really hard to figure out where to put these though. So if I put them like right here, then they're like too close together. If I put them like right here, then they look too far apart. So it's like I have to definitely have to slope it. A little windy out there. Well, I feel like technically like the wind direction should always be the same, but it might not be the easiest thing to do. I could give her short hair though, like that. Like a bob. I don't know, I kinda like the bob. It is getting rainy, so I'm gonna save in case the power cuts out. Cannot for the life of me figure out what exactly to make this outline look like. About close. So the only thing that's jumping out at me is the fact that the shoulders are level, but the rest is not. Makes the neck look really tall. That looks a little better. It's just still really hard to see the hands, which makes me wonder whether I should give her just like some kind of glove, but I don't know. It's stormy. It's really hard to be sure what to do here. Really the alternative with the hairs that I could do, which I had thought about, do some kind of like physicsy hair thing. I don't know how well that would work, and it's probably way more effort than it's worth. But yeah, it's definitely a possibility. So yeah, that looks fine. Those need to make it sample the current layer, that way it just pulls transparent. Okay, but yeah, the way that that kind of thing would work would be I would take the player and then I would take a hair type. At least at the very simplest level, I would take a hair sprite that goes underneath that. That's the blowing in the wind hair. It'd have to be like this or something. I don't know. It's very strange, though. But that does kind of work. would be kind of interesting, yeah. But we'll consider that if I have time and the luxury to do it, I suppose. Really should be scooted slightly over on this desk because I keep bumping my cup with my mouse. So, I'm going to change the color on this one as well. I don't really need that. I can go with this color. Just fix this one. That down. It's just easier to work with it if it's always the weird thing, it just doesn't look right, strangely. I'd say that's alright for some standing sprites. Like though, because I added more shading into the hair on this one, I should probably add more shading into the hair on these. Okay. Oh, looks like that album's over. Hello, Koto87. Thanks. I'm glad you like it. I am trying to make some different directions. This is just a standing sprite, though. I'll need to have a walking sprite, too. And I'm not totally happy with some aspects of this sprite. I'm just not really sure what to do about them at the moment. Like, I feel like posture-wise, something like that is better, but then it's really hard to make this leg not look awkward. I guess I can swap the color on the way. arm needs to come in a little bit. Yeah, that looks a little better. Anyway, how are you doing, Akoto? Hopefully well. That looks so much better. That's like... Why did I even have it the other way? This way it looks kind of just weird. I gotta copy this though. Oops. I need to erase that part first. It's really hard when you're doing something this small because, like pixel-wise, just because if you cut in 1 pixel, that's like 1/4 of the person's body width. So they can look too thin at one body width and too thick at another one. Also, the feet probably should get. Well, I don't know. They may be okay like that, but it looks a little strange. Where do you learn to do pixel art stuff? That is a difficult question. All I can say as far as that goes is just do a lot of it, because I don't know that you can learn all of it just by reading stuff, but I'm sure there's a lot of stuff you could find pretty easily if you just Googled like pixel art tutorials. I think yeah, Pixel Prospector has quite a few like things to look at. I would definitely say like look at other people's pixel art. Like if you can find some people who do stuff that you like, just look at what they do. You know, like if you can grab some of these, they're probably JPEGs off of Twitter, and just look at them. Like don't trace over them and then repost that as your own thing, but it's not necessarily a bad thing to do on your own time to go look at somebody else's art and just see how they do what they do. And try to do something that's maybe similar to their style or something. That's probably what I would suggest to begin with, just to learn, you know. But I really don't know what to say, because I don't really consider myself to be a good pixel artist. I consider myself to be better than I used to be, but not as good as I would like to be. Hello, Bunkin. How are you doing today? Okay, so I have... Oops. Let me notch that in. I hate how that looks, though. It looks so weird. I feel like it's better to just do like that or something. It is stormy here. Actually doing pretty good today, I'd say. I'm pretty happy with how this sprite has come out versus the last one, which actually was based on someone else's design. Therefore, definitely it needed to be redone, in spite of whether I might have liked the animation. Okay, I actually don't know what size to make this as far as like a sprite sheet goes. Because right now I think I've got 16 by 18. I actually don't know that this should be flipped. That's kind of a question about the hair, is whether it should be flipped. I was thinking about if I actually wanted to dynamically have whether the hair's blowing or stuff. Of course, I also thought about just doing short hair to get around that problem, but if somebody's got long hair, it's got to blow around, right? Because realistically, if there's like one wind direction, then the hair should be blowing in that direction. I don't think there's a way to like let me make a new layer. Shift in, okay. But yeah, realistically, the hair should blow in the same direction. I don't know why. I guess it's fine. I'm just kind of pulling up to another layer to be able to make a modification. But yeah, realistically, the hair should always blow in the same direction, probably. That's probably why the shading was reversed on it, now that I think about it. Yeah, I could flip it horizontally. It would be pretty easy to just do that. You could also which was the thing I had earlier. You could have a sort of layered system to the hair where you've got like a flat kind of no animated part of the hair, and then a sprite that goes on top of that that can flip, or whatever. Let's see. So I wanted to flip that, didn't I? Shift H. It's so finicky sometimes. I'm gonna just do it that way instead, I think. Like, I could just flip the whole sprite, but it doesn't really make sense too, so. That looks better. The only thing I have to figure out at this point is how they actually layer on top of each other. Which means that really they should all be on their own layers. Like this one should be front, and then this one should be back. And then there should be another layer that's side. The issue is, like, if I'm flipping the side thing, then I have to flip the hair, but yeah. I did initially actually do it the same direction, but then I thought, oh, well, if they turn, then it should go the other way. But then I didn't think about, like, if the wind direction is the same, it's still going to blow the same way. Okay, so side needs to be pulled up from this layer. It is easier probably to just do this way. So there's front. Oops, front's still got this one on it. So then they're on 3 different layers. So if I took this, layered it on top. So really the question is, where does it need to be? Looks like that's where it needs to be. And then back needs to be that's probably fine. Okay, so now I just need to pull that over where it lines up. Which says front. I don't need to move the front, I need to move the side. I need to move the back. Okay, so that's where they needed to be. Right for the side one, but for the back one it seems like it was off a little bit. Oh shoot. Problem is I don't know which one was which. I think this one was the one. So it was probably this one that needs to get moved over. Why are you being so annoying, A-Sprite? Oh, because I'm on the wrong layer. There we go. Okay, so that makes that a sprite sheet of some kind. Oh, I don't know how well this is going to work, actually. I'm trying to think. Layers, visible layers, frames, all frames. Horizontal strip, vertical strip, by rows, by columns. If I do a, yeah, if I do a horizontal strip, that doesn't make sense. So it needs to be 3 columns. Wait, that's not gonna work. Looks like it lets me round it to. Well, I'm gonna see what that looks like anyway. Even though I'm sure it won't look right. I should stop my Dropbox sync so that it doesn't eat up my limited streaming bandwidth. Okay, where is that? Where is it? Okay. So here's what it spat out. Okay, so it just spat them out like that, straight. Not really what I want. If I do this, then what does it spit out? Basically the same thing. Okay, so usually I do that, where I do, seems like it'd be better to put them like vertically in their own cells and then let it spit it out horizontally. Like if I did this. Oh shoot, that doesn't work. I don't know how tall it needs to be. That's enough, though. Set this grid to be like. Make this bride 32 by 32. That's really, oops, it's really big. One thing I wish I could do that I don't see any way to do is move multiple layers. Like, I don't. Maybe that's possible, but down slightly. Then I'm going to take and move them over. Oops, that is the wrong one. Got some spurious pixels there. Like, there's some of these things I'm not saying that a sprite can't do. I'm just saying I don't know if it can do them, or if it can, I don't know how to do them. Okay, and then the side one. Basically just preparing this so I can put it in the game, which kind of means I need to have a sheet of some kind. I think it's 96. So if I crop it in like that, and then I export it, should work the way that I want it to. It should, oh, it already did. Yeah, so that spits it out where you've got your top row, and then your middle row, and your bottom row are each of your directions, which should slice up pretty easily. Okay, so let's try putting that into Unity and see what happens. I got ice cubes out of my coffee. The pain. Okay. So that should get put in assets and sprites. And that should be, I guess we'll just go new player, standing, and let's see. It should get imported as sprite, multiple, 16 pixels a unit. Apply. Should be able to go into the sprite editor. Uh-oh. That compression looks pretty rough. Try. There we go, that looks better. Slice. Do grid by cell size. I think it's 22 by 32. Okay, so that's all my slices. That looks alright. Now I just have to figure out how I even implemented the player beforehand. I think the way that it's done is I have a sprite that's just attached, and I think it faces up. And it's scaled. For some reason it wasn't rotated 90 degrees. Okay, so then I use player run right. So I'll switch that over to new player. It's not really set to flip very elegantly though. But I don't really remember what the animator does. Oh yeah, okay. So this is totally gonna be busted. Yeah, cold coffee, man. It's actually cold brew coffee. Okay, well, to begin with, it's not working at all. So let me look at that and see what's happening. It's possible that I'm not actually really using that, and it may be stored elsewhere. Let's see, let's open up the player script. I don't think I actually store the sprite in here. I don't even know if I do the animation in here. Okay, I do. Okay, so I do a player animation, which is like apparently the object that animates. I just set its speed based on certain things. Okay, but why is the sprite changing? That's what I'm wondering. It shouldn't change. But for some reason it is. Which is interesting. If I start a new game, that shouldn't affect it. Okay, so still the same sprite. Why? Why? But why? Like if I change it to the other one. Actually won't let me change the sprite, so that leads me to think that there's got to be something else that's setting the sprite, but I don't know where. Oh, okay. This thing still functions. It shows my like movement direction, which is interesting. Okay, why would it change it? It must be this animator that changes it. Oops, did not mean to open that. Yeah, it's the animator that changes it. Interesting. Okay, it's just something I didn't realize. The sprite is so much bigger than that other one. Okay. So I just have to change this animator, apparently. How do I make an animator? I really don't remember a lot of these things. Let's see, create animator controller, animation. I think it's this. I think you do like, yeah, okay. Oh man. I think there's this as well. Let me look at the old animation. That is not it. That's not what I'm doing. It keeps opening up more copies of a sprite, which is strange. I shouldn't need any of that for now. Oh, okay. I think this is the animator controller. Okay, so there's an animation thing. Animator parameter. I seem to recall that the way it worked is you look at this, and then it gives you your animation stuff, which is really strange, but so like when I hit that, then I can watch it play. Okay, so instead I need to go here and attach this. I don't know what any of that is. It's like a really overcomplicated animation system for a 2D game. Okay. Now, I don't know what any of this state stuff has to do with anything. I should probably figure that out. Okay, animator... animation. Like, that's one of the weird things, right? Is like... It's like, begin animating player, create an animator, and an animation clip. It's like, okay, well, where's the sprite? Begin animating sprite, create an animation clip. It's like, okay, create. So then I need to create an animation clip, which is going to be new player standing. Okay. I don't really know exactly how this is supposed to work. But I think what I do is I take these and drag them in here. Oh boy, this is some rough stuff. You can like animate all kinds of shit, but I don't really understand how you're supposed to. What does that mean? guess that's just the width of the whole thing. We got 0, 25, 10. But I don't really understand why this lasts that long. Why does it have a 1/10 of a second there? I don't really understand. This makes it very strange and difficult to animate things at the right speed, you know. Like if I say 5 and 10, that should theoretically be animating at like even frame times. It kind of feels like it isn't. Like I can animate the color if I wanted. It's really strange that they give you like all these weird things where it's like I can animate stuff if I wanted, but why? Because I feel like this really needs to be like renamed, and it needs to be like standing down or south. Can I stop it from playing, please? Jesus. Yeah, it needs to be like standing south, I guess. Ooh. So if I go this and I go, I have no idea whether this is how I'm supposed to do this or what. What? Like, why does this one play differently? I don't really understand. Like, okay. Like, this one plays faster. Is it because I set it to 30 samples? Okay, I guess so. So if I instead set it to like 3 samples and then pulled this over, what would it do then? What does this samples even mean at that point? Is that like samples per second or something? Seems like it is. Seems like it's samples per second. So it says samples, but it's actually samples per second. So it's actually, if I'm doing something that's relatively low fidelity, it actually makes sense to set less samples. Okay, so that seems to be working, more or less. And then I guess I go this and pull in these. What is this? What was that? What is this? Okay, I guess it just lets me set the 2 points. That's the east-west, that's the north, that's the south. Technically west-east, but yeah. Okay, so theoretically, if I go into the animation controller, I should be able to set up some stuff now, maybe? Where is that? What am I looking for? Let's put on something else. Let's listen to... Oh, I don't know. Maybe we could listen to another Taiko album. I do like this one, so... So I should be able to. Oh, that's what I'm looking for. Animator. Yeah, see, now I have different nodes, right? But I don't really know how I do that. I don't understand it. It doesn't make sense. Make transition. Seems like a really bad way to do this, though. I feel like there should be a better way to do this. let me look at this. Unity Animator. See, because like this is all crazy stuff for like 3D models with IK and all that, and it's like I don't need all that. Literally all I need is to be able to play the different animations, right? This is what I hate about all of their tutorials. It's like, I don't want to sit here and watch like a whole video. Just give me a damn page that's got some text on it that tells me like what this stuff means. Because like I have to go to somebody else's like thing to figure out what the heck's going on. God, this is ridiculously complicated for just a thing to play a damn animation. So it seems like I could do it without this animation system and just have the array of frames basically go into the sprite itself and just program it in, which would be like kind of way easier for me. I'm going to take a quick break, and then I'm going to come back and I'm going to try to set this up to actually work a little bit better instead of using this stupid animation system that they have built into Unity. Alright, So I'll be right back. Alright. I got a major ant infestation problem going on in this house. So I can't decide whether or not to use this crazy system or what. So I do this and I go like direction, like it's saying. Then I have to like go in here to all these transitions and make it to where the direction is equal to whatever, right? It's like if we're gonna go to north, then the direction should be 0, right? And then this is that's really weird, you know. It's like a whole bunch of crazy logic specifying when I really just need a basic thing that just sets the state.
Trying to think of a good way to actually do this,
because I feel like this way is not good. I feel like this way is way too complex for what I'm dealing with. I don't need all this because it's literally just switching sprites. Like, there's no blend that needs to happen. I don't need all of this stuff of like, well, how long does it take to blend, and you know, is the model gonna blend between these animations this way or that way, or like, I'm doing none of that. So this is a really weird way to do that. Does anybody have a way that's not dumb? Water. Yeah, that's basically what I was thinking. Is just write my own animation system that gets all the sprites in there. Oh, that's really weird. Why is this gonna like load them in? Why would you load them in? I guess you could, but it really seems strange. Yeah, okay, so there's like a million different ways that you could do that, obviously. Do not like coroutines, so there's no way I'm gonna do it that way. Okay, so I need to make a an animation thing, and I'm not sure what to call it because like Unity already stole animation from me as a thing. So I'm just gonna have to make a new thing that's like animation. This called it like animation script. This one called it sprite anim. I think I'll call it sprite animation. That's probably fine. Sprite animation. Okay, so sprite animation. Oh man. Now I have to decide all of the design things of how I actually want this thing to work. So I kind of want it to have it's tough because like I want it to have different animations that I can refer to by some kind of name fairly easily and switch between them. But I might possibly want to keep track of like time in that animation and pull that from one into the other. So I guess I just probably need I probably need like float T, and then I need like so I can keep track of frames. Speed is probably good because I have that for the other one where I just set an animation speed. So that would be like speed. I would just have public. So I set that. And then the thing gets updated on its own. Should, anyway. And then I guess I basically just want to add different, if possible, different animations for each thing. Just not sure how I can create those. Because like if I just say that the player has like 4 animations, you know, north standing, east west standing, or east standing, south standing, whatever. And then I try to fill those out, then I can't really fill them out from here. I need to load in the sprites. How do I do that? How do I do that? Ugh. Because if I'm utilizing the sprite system at all, so say I have like so I have all my sprites, right? If I want to use like this, then I've got 2 frames here, and those need to be an animation strip, basically. I can just add animation strip components to the player, and then I'd have like 4 components for each direction, but that seems really like a lot. It feels like it should be like 1 component just to handle the animation stuff. Okay, so let me look at that. Like if I go to the player here, we say like it's got this animation, sprite animation component. So that needs to have animation strips, basically, of sprites. But how do I do those? How do I do this without... I could write a custom inspector for it, but... it's really all I can think of. This is more tough than I would want it to be. Because, like, this will let me create a thing, right? It's an animation, and then I can edit it and all that, right? I can't think of how to do what I want to do. Unless I set up all the animations at runtime and have a script that builds them, where I say, well, this one's 2 frames and that one's 2 frames. So I don't really like that. Custom inspector Unity. Okay. I basically need that. I do need an editor like this, like I have for this. And that's gonna be, oops, sprite animation editor. Okay, so I gotta look at editor GUI. GUI layout stuff. How does this all work? It's really, really tough to try to figure out what the heck I'm supposed to do with this crap. So it looks like I need... I basically need an array field. Is there a way to do that? Serialized property. Not quite helpful. I might be able to utilize the animation clip. I'm just worried about, because animation clip is probably going to get deprecated at some point. Maybe not. Let's see. So what does it consider an animation clip? Like, what is this? I guess that's an animation clip. But it doesn't seem to have sprites for it, which is strange. Okay. That seems useless. Alright, let's look at this thing here. Why do I have to do all this stuff? Oh my God. Why do I need to do all this stuff? Literally just to show an array in the freaking custom property editor thing. This is really terrible. Thanks, Unity. Thanks. Real helpful.
Okay,
Alright, so it seems like I just have to do like this. And then I just literally have to do, for each one, I have to label it, right? Actually, I do need that other editor so I can look at how it worked. This is really ridiculous that I have to write all this stuff myself, though. Like, this is how Unity manages to be so annoying. Is that, like, if you decide that you want to venture slightly outside of what they've specified, then you pretty much have to do everything yourself, because they have not thought about that somebody might want to draw some arrays in their custom inspector without having it. Anyway, it's fine. Let's see, what do I need? Oh, I needed to... I basically need this at the end. What is this complaining about? Unexpected symbol less. Okay, I guess this must have to be like this. I never know whether it's commas or what. It says num animations doesn't exist, so it's, yeah. I guess I don't really need it to be sprite anim, it could just be anim. Main panel does not exist in certain contexts. Oh, that's true. Okay. Now, I should be able to look at this and have it do these things. There we go. So it doesn't do the thing that I wanted to do. It should do I, like that. So it should be 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, okay. Then basically for each of those, I want to have like a thing that's like number of frames, and so then it's like number of frames for that. Okay. I guess I don't need to know number of frames. Well, I could, I guess. do that. We'll go. Yeah. Trying to think of how this will work. Sprite array is an animation, basically. So it's an array of sprite arrays, basically. Just trying to think of how that works. It's basically a two-dimensional array. I can't really have two-dimensional arrays. Can I serialize an array list? I don't think I can. Let's see, what do I want to listen to? Something else, something else. Need something else, don't know what to listen to. I don't dislike this album. Looks like I'm mostly streaming alone at this point. Can't do a two-dimensional array. And nor can I just define it as being a fixed two-dimensional array. It really does need to be an array list, but as far as I know, I can't serialize array lists. So Unity serialize array list. I don't think it's possible, but I'll look. Can serialize a list. So I can make a struct, I guess, in here. No, I can't serialize structs. Okay, so I need to make a class that's like just a sprite animation strip, basically. And that essentially just has a sprite array of frames. So we got that. Then we need a public we'll just call it strips. I don't know whether that's going to work. Probably will. So I'm just going to try, let's see, anim.strips equals new. Oh, that's the problem there, is how do I new it? I guess I can new anim.sprite animation strip.
This is just a very basic way to get this up and running, even. So for each one, we go through the animation, and then we go anim.strips i.frames. Is that what it was? Yeah, okay. I don't really need anything for that other than was it length? Length? I don't remember what it is. Strips i.frames equals new sprite array. Something like that. It's probably not going to work, but inconsistent accessibility field type. Sprite animation strip is less accessible than field sprite animation strips. I think it's because this needs to be public. Oh, what's the error it gives me? Anim could not be found. Only use array. Okay, so this needs to not be anim. It needs to be sprite animation. Sprite does not contain a definition for length. Now frames is an array. Forget how you get that. It says it's dot length, so it's got to be length, I guess. Okay. Okay, so if I set that to 5. Object reference not set to instance of an object. What's the reference though? That's just when I had it set to 0. Interesting. So even when I do that, it doesn't work. So it goes to 0, and then it says anim.strips 0. Let's say that. So that should be getting that, right? Let me try this. Oh. Hello, Knuckles. Yes, I've been streaming. I tried to
tweet to everybody, but I didn't really know what's the best way to notify people that I was streaming today instead of tomorrow, but I hope you've been doing well playing Dark Souls. I cannot for the life of me figure out how to get this crap to work. And all this is just because Unity doesn't give me an easy way to make an array editor or even like a list editor. Because I need a list editor, essentially, because I need something that will let me have a list of animations, and then I can pull in frames into each of those animations separately. So it's like they show up as different things, and I can add a frame and then pull in another sprite and then have that work, hopefully. But for some reason it's giving me a null reference, and I don't know why. It's giving it to me on this line, so it's got to be like this. Know how to do this because it seems like I guess I just need to go see if it can at least access that. So that seems happy. So I'm going to do a null check here, and then we're going to do that if it is null. No, it says frames doesn't exist in this context, which is strange. Hate is such a strong word. Why does frames not exist? Because it should. There's an animation strip, strips, dot frames. So strips I, which should be 0 here. For some reason it's pulling and saying that there's no such thing as frames for that. Maybe it's this. Yeah, that's why. Do not know. Don't know. I'm trying to create an animation system that works better for 2D animation than their crazy. Because like I can do all the animations, and I was looking at that using their system, but I'll show you what it looks like. Like, I basically have to have a whole, like, hierarchy here with, like, transition states, and then I have to set up a parameter, and then I have to set up, for each transition, I have to set up what that parameter has to be equal to for the transition to occur, which is really, really overkill for a 2D game. Like, where I literally, a transition between animations is just switching the animation, more or less, right? I don't need to have all this stuff. Like, that's for stuff where you want to blend between animations and control that very effectively. Okay, what happened to my game window? There we go. Jeez. Anyway, so I don't need all that, so I would rather have some other system of my own design that literally just has the different animation strips. I agree that Dark Souls, the first Dark Souls, has a lot of technical problems, and I think that that's like the primary issue is like trying to play it now. It's harder to forgive the technical issues than it was at the time, because at the time there was like nothing really like that except Demon Souls, I guess, and so it was kind of like, well, there's nothing really like this, so I kind of forgive the fact that it's a little buggy. Now it's got such prestige, and people talk about it so much. When you play it, you are probably surprised by how buggy it is. So it would be really nice if they did a remastered version of the first Dark Souls that actually ran okay, and didn't have weird falling through the world bugs, and the weird, like, the most annoying bugs, besides falling through the world, that's pretty bad. The most annoying one, I think, is the one where sometimes you go to use your Estus flask and it just doesn't happen for some reason, and then it happens like 30 seconds later. That's like the most annoying bug. So I'm trying to figure out what the heck is going on here. Because if I do this, and I set this to 5, it will go 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 for the different animations, right? And that's great. So there should be like a... Ugh. Okay. There's really numb animations is like numb strips, right? So the strips should have a length, right? I don't know why I used I. That shouldn't be I. That should be like J or something. It really doesn't matter. Let's see. Yeah, I think like Dark Souls is just harmed by the fact that everybody went crazy over it, right? Yes, the other Dark Souls games have almost no bugs, I would say. And they actually run really good. And so that's unfortunate, because they're not as good games as the first one, but they run better. I would say if you like Dark Souls 1 a lot, then Dark Souls 2 is worth playing. I prefer Dark Souls 3 to Dark Souls 2, but there's a lot that kind of goes into that. I don't think Dark Souls 2 is bad, like some people think it's bad, but... So it says there's no length. So strips is supposed to be an array, but it doesn't have a length, which is really confusing. That's what it says here. No definition for length. Sprite animation strip. But it's not sprite animation strip, it's a array, so I don't... Okay, I see. It needs to be like this. Strips length, right? But that's what I'm doing here, is num strips, right? Well, let's look at that, because it should spit out. Yeah, a bunch of frames here. Okay, that's fine. Okay, so this should actually be anim strips length. That's fine. So then for each of these, I need strips I dot... So each strip has frames, and that's dot length. And then we do J. So then each one should have frames, right? And so it gives me a null reference, which is probably because none of them actually have frames. So I need to set that up. I'm trying to think how to do this. I guess I would do like this. I'd create a temporary variable that's num frames. Show that as frames here, num frames, and then that's going to be animation dot strips I dot frames dot length, which is nothing. So that might give me a null reference in and of itself. Then we want to create that anim dot strips I dot frames is equal to new sprite array that is the length of num frames. Then we go through there, and then we spit that out. Like I said, probably going to give me a null reference on this. Okay. So, that means I need to do basically a test on that. So we go if anim strips I dot frames is equal to null, then we need to go ahead and do this. And give it at least one frame. Oh, this is really bad. Let's see. Okay. I'm not sure I've ever played a game with a better combat system than Dark Souls, so I'd be interested if you made one. I like the third one, but the thing about the third one is much of what's cool about Dark Souls 3 is also something that you could not like about it, which is it's kind of like a remix of the previous two games in a lot of ways, and plays off of your expectations if you've played those games. Okay, what is this? Can't convert to bool. Oh yeah. Equals. That's my own stupidity. It's still giving me a null reference. Weird. That's literally what I'm checking here, is if it's null. Okay. How can it be null? I really don't understand. Like, I'm literally just doing a null check. I guess I need to do this just to be sure, but I'm literally just doing a null check, but it's complaining about that I'm accessing it. And I'm only accessing it to see whether it's null. But it's saying that that's not a reference. Problem is, I really don't know which part of that it thinks is null. Okay, so if I do this, does that work? Is it still gonna say null? Okay, so it's still complaining about this, so it must be this part that's null, which is really strange. Might be an off by one thing on that. Seems not, though, which is interesting, too. This is really confusing me. I mean, it depends on, you say advanced, and to me, my only complaint about Dark Souls as far as the combat goes is I think that there should be less options in the game. Like, I literally think it would be fine if the game just had, like, the regular broadsword and a shield, and you just upgraded those things. I think the game would be just as good with that. I understand a lot of people probably would not like that, but to me, like, that is the core of the game, and having a whole bunch of other things in there really just makes it confusing. And you're likely to end up playing the game in a way that's not that enjoyable. That's just me. It's my opinion. I can't figure out how to do this. This shouldn't be this hard, but it is, and that's annoying. Like, all I need is an array of arrays of sprites. That's literally all I need. And I need to be able to put the sprites in. And I don't know how to get it to do that. If I just look at this, the default inspector. So for one thing is it doesn't actually show me this thing because it doesn't know what to do with that. If I go like this, then that kind of would work, but it probably won't work either. Like this will probably give me nothing as well. Whereas if I just gave it frames, then that's fine, but then I can't set up the different things. Okay, so you're not parrying, you're not backstabbing, you're not knocking dudes back to break their guard, because you can do that. They add more moves in Dark Souls 3. I don't know that they significantly change things, but they have some moves where you can try to kind of charge up a move. And it uses some of your stamina. No, it doesn't use some of your stamina, it uses some of your magic, because they added a meter for your magic. And you do basically your power attacks through the magic as well as your magic through the magic. So whether you're actually using magic or not, you use that meter. I think it's like the spirit meter or something like that. But, yeah. Oops. Hello, Krofa. How are you doing today? I hope you're doing well. This discussion has devolved into Dark Souls discussion. I really don't know how to do this other than make components be the thing, where I just add a component that's like sprite animation strip, and then just put them in that way. That seems really unwieldy, but I don't know a better way to do it right now. It's like kind of driving me nuts. I'm pretty good, other than dealing with Unity's annoyances about like me trying to write a basic thing that looks at like an array of arrays, which is all I need for this animation system to work. Is I basically have each animation strip that I want to play is an array of frames, right? It's an array of sprites. So like one animation is 5 frames, then I've got 5 sprites in an array. And then I need to have an array of the different sprites. Like the different, not the different sprites, but the different clips. So that the animation system can handle like, okay, I want to switch to this animation, right? That's basically all I want. Is I want a list of animations, and each of those animations I can drill down into, and then I can edit the frames in each of those animations. And I don't really know how to do that. Even though I understand, like, I can make an animation thing here and say, okay, there's a class here, this animation strip, it's got frames in it, and then there's an array of strips, right? That works, except for some reason when I try to make an editor for it, it wants to give me a million null references. Even when I add in the stuff that should be making the array. Yeah. Hello, Justin. How are you doing? What's going on is, as Canuckles has pointed out so astutely, is that I'm trying to rewrite an animation system rather than use Unity's, because Unity's animation system is way overkill. It's fine, except like their animation system is built on having different states. It's like a state thing where you go to this state, and then I've got transitions to different states. What can I transition to? And I've got parameters that control what I transition to, and I go and I set up each of the transitions based on the different parameters and all that. And that's fine, but it's really unnecessary for a game where literally transitioning an animation is just playing a different animation, because it's just sprites. It's way overkill. I don't need that. I just need some different animation strips of frames, and then I need to be able to say, okay, play this animation, right? That's all I need to be able to do. I don't need all this overhead, but now I've wasted a bunch of time, probably, that I could have just got this working using their system. But the reason it's been difficult is because to do that, I need to have essentially an array of sprite arrays, right? Like, an animation is just an array of sprites at a base level. Like, that's the easiest way to think about it, unless we want to do fancy stuff, which they've got all kinds of fancy stuff you can do with their system, and that's cool, but I don't need any of that, really, so, like, I don't see how I'm going to need that. I don't see how I need to have all kinds of lerping animations and whatever. It could be useful, but for sprite animation, it seems really overkill. Anyway, so it's just an array of frames, but then I also need to have an array of those arrays, and then I need to be able to actually edit those, which is surprisingly non-trivial to do. I am getting nulls when I go, okay, like I'm doing this here, and then it's going new, and it's allocating this sprite animation strip. You're right, it may just not be allocating that, but it should be, because it returns the length here. It's just when I go to try to access this member of that frames, it doesn't like me anymore. It gives me a null at that point. Like, if I just do this and just loop through and say that, well, I'm gonna have to change this because it's, oh no, it'll work. It should work anyway. Oh, okay. I've changed some things around because I was trying other stuff. Okay, so if I just do this, and then I set, why is it telling me multi-object editing? Okay, so if I set this to like 10, then it theoretically should have allocated those into an array, right? Because I've got num strips, and then I set this, and then it's checking length of this. So this should be an array. It should be an array. I mean, I could run the debugger, but it should be an array because it's returning that it has a length. But when I try to access one of the fields and say, okay, make this a new sprite array, then at that point it gives me a null reference. See, like, I don't know why, but then at this point it says, nope, you can't do that. I don't know why. Alright, see you, Canuckles. C-Sharp's kind of similar to C++, other than you don't have to worry about freeing up your allocations because there's a garbage collector, but unfortunately that also means you have to worry about the garbage collector and trying to avoid allocating memory on a per frame basis. But theoretically this should work because it's nude this thing, sprite animation.sprite animation strip, is this thing. It's got a public member, which is an array of sprites called frames. Then when I go in here and say, okay, let's take anim strips frames and make it a new sprite, it should work, right? Like, let's say I did this, right? Like, that should work, but it's complaining. I don't understand why. Yeah, I don't understand why it's a null reference either. Other than the weird vagaries of their editor system. It's like, maybe it doesn't actually fully create the objects because this, like, way you set things dirty so that it serializes, and so maybe I need to, like, propagate, because this is, like, why their IM GUI system is so terrible, is because theoretically if you have an immediate mode GUI, you should not have to duplicate state into the GUI. But because of the way their stuff works, you do have to duplicate state into the GUI, and the GUI has to keep track of its own version of everything and then propagate it back to the object using this, like, set dirty thing that then, like, propagates all the changes back. Which is, like, ridiculous, because as far as I can tell, that's what I'm doing here, is setting something on this object. I mean, you know, that's just what I'm thinking. I suppose I should double check, triple check, that there's not a sprite animation thing. So there might be. Okay, there isn't. I can run the debugger on it. I don't think that would show me much other than that it's null, but I'll go ahead and do it. Let's see. Open up Visual Studio. La 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 la. So, let's set a breakpoint on that. Attach. Okay. I wish I knew how to, like, add watches really quickly and stuff. I mean, they don't actually really care most of the time, it seems, about debugging. But okay. Okay, so it says it's 21. Let me look at that. Okay, so none of the strips themselves are initialized. It's just created an array of nulls. But this should have done it, but it's still nude. I don't really know why that is. So yeah, it's like not actually doing that, and I don't really know why. Maybe I just need to make a component type that's a sprite animation strip, but seems really weird. I'm just gonna do it that way, and that seems like it will probably work. It's a really annoying thing I feel like to have to do, but whatever. We'll just make a new thing. That because dealing with Visual Studio to actually edit stuff is a pain, so I don't want to do that. Literally all this needs to be is just a data thing. And the only reason I was using a class was because, from what I understand, you can't serialize structs properly using Unity's serializer, so like that's literally all that has to be. But whatever. So let's try doing it this way. Okay, so that doesn't work either. Don't know why, but it doesn't work. You might be right, but let me see. Look at how the freaking array works in C#. Oh my gosh, this is useless. You might be right that it doesn't actually assign it. Because I guess it's probably a reference type, and I need to assign a reference. Yeah, that's what it is. Oh my gosh. Okay, well, let's try that. So then I might not actually need to do this. Let me just, thanks, Daniel. That seems like it might be useful. Yeah, it's just, I constantly get bit by this, and I really think it's a problem with C#, is this concept of reference type. And I know it's not exclusive to C#, but it constantly bites me, this thing of like, oh, that's not actually a thing that I'm initializing. I'm initializing an array of pointers, basically, but there's no syntactical difference between initializing an array of pointers like this, new this, you know, like in like C++, you would do like, oh, that, and you'd be like, oh, okay, it's an array of pointers. So obviously, like, if I go to access one of those members, there's nothing there because I just made an array of pointers. Whereas I'm thinking I'm making an array of like integers, in which case they're already integers and I can use them because it's not a reference type. But because this is is a class and it's an object, it's a reference type. So therefore, anyway, whatever. Which again is because I use a class, and it would make sense for me to not use a class except for the serialization problems that come with using structs. So if I use an array of structs, then I have to like write a custom serializer, and I didn't want to do that. So okay, So that should work if I go in and do this. Well, I guess I need to go. Which I do down there as well, but hopefully this will work. I'm almost certain that it will work. So if I do that, which I may need to do this, but I don't know. I bet that'll work. Except I probably typoed some weird thing. And what did I screw up? Okay, I probably need to do this. And it's sprite animation dot sprite animation strip. So I should probably do like using sprite animation though. But whatever. Doesn't matter. Yeah, pointers. Yeah. It's the annoyance about reference types. Yeah, you can't really access the index in a for each, but you could do for each and then keep an eye and then access it that way. And as long as you don't change the length, that should be fine. Anyway, let's see whether that works. Let us see whether that works. Hey, it looks like it might have worked, possibly. So it's not resizing this array length here, which is very disturbing. Oh, because... yeah, okay. We don't really need a -11, but... okay, so that seems like it's working. So now I've got the animations there, and hopefully can go through here. And we'll set it to where they have at least one frame. And this will all get rewritten because it's totally bonkers, but probably don't need that. We can just do this. Num frames. I could have just done it as a list, I guess, probably. Let's see. So that's field of frames length and know whether I need that, because I might just be able to do it as a... no, I guess I do need to have this. And all this is because like they don't actually give me a utility to look at arrays. Okay, let's see. I've got an extra thing somewhere. I'm not sure where it is. That's right here. Okay. This is giving me an issue here, which is probably because this length right here. So let's go in here. Which it seems asinine that I have to do this. But, let's see. No, I can just do this. Just move that up there. And then, yeah. Okay. So we got that. That assigns that to variable. Then it will update the length of it to whatever that is. Then it will draw just some text that says each frame. Should work. Don't gotta do that null check. Yeah, I probably don't. No, I do, because when I'm checking length there. Anyway. Yeah, this is pretty terrible. Okay, so say we got 1. I should be able to change the length frames, but it's not changing it. Why is that? Do I really have to store num frames on the object? Because like if I just set the length, that doesn't work as far as I know. Like if I do this, it's going to give me something saying that length is not actually a changeable thing. Yeah, it's read-only. Okay. So oh my gosh, this is so annoying. There's probably some better way of doing this, but whatever. Frames. I can type. Alright, so we'll just do it that way. Whatever. It's like, the reason this is really super annoying is because it makes it so bad that it would almost be easier to just do all of the stuff in the GUI layer and then copy the information over at the end to the object, rather than like having all this stuff here that gets to where it's like I've got it muddied up in here where I have to keep track of num frames for no reason inside of this, other than that this needs to have some way to access that. And it's like I could put it here, but then I have to duplicate the whole data structure over into the GUI layer, which is like antithetical to the entire point of having an immediate mode GUI. Anyway, so let's see. Still not working. Num frames doesn't exist. Yeah, because it's, oh my god, this is getting unwieldy with the number of like things I have to do here. I don't know whether this is even a good idea at this point, because it's like so ridiculously bad. It still won't let me set it. Why is that? This should be frames. Oh my gosh, my brain is shutting down. I've been streaming for a while. How long have I been streaming? Oops. No, about 3 hours. Yeah, that's not as long as I thought, but still a while. Okay, so that's setting it to that, which is working. But this should be setting it as well to something else, right? So if I set that to like 3, interesting. I'm wondering why it comes in at 0. Oh, because these get nude every frame. Okay, so... Oh, God, kill me. Alright. It's because I was doing this in the dumb, simple way, where I just knew this every single frame. But I shouldn't have to do that. This is so bad. Alright, I'm gonna take a break really quickly, and I'll think about this while I do so. And maybe I'll come up with some way that will make this not a horrible nightmare. But I'll be right back. Okay. So I'm almost certain that the only way that this is not going to be a nightmare is if I just do it the dumb way that is not fancy and doesn't make me happy, but works, which is essentially to do this and just utilize Unity's thing and add strips like this, so there's different strips. And hopefully that'll work. But, you know, essentially what this is doing here is what I wanted. I just didn't want to have to do it that way because it's annoying. So then I have all these things here that are like nondescript things. But that's fine. I might be able to pull them in this way. So then I don't need to have any of this. Just let it look this way. And The only problem at this point is then I don't have a I don't have a system for showing these. I'm not really sure how to do that though. Like if I, well, it should work if I do this, actually. It should work. So then it should give me an array. Yeah, okay. So then I got an array here. So then I've just got 3 strips, and then the strips are here. It's like I'd like to be able to make the strips, if I'm going to do that, not be part of this, but that's fine, and it works, and I've spent enough time on this crap, and I don't want to spend any more time on it. So that works, basically. So can I just do, like, I feel like I should be able to do this, but okay, I can. Yeah. So I don't know whether I should, like, give them a name or something, but this seems like it'll work, because then I can just pull this and pull this and pull that, and then I've got 3 different strips, right? That's fine. That works. We don't have to go crazy. Yeah. It's really annoying, but should solve the problem. Okay, I need something relaxing to listen to, and I'm not really sure what. Not really sure what will do that for me. Not that that wasn't somewhat relaxing, but sorry to be so negative and on all this, but it's just after you are wrestling with something that should have been easy for so long, it gets annoying. Okay, so now the animation thing is like basically going to be an animation handler that will just let you pick current animation and speed, basically. So we go current animation, and that's something you can set. And then on update, it's literally just going to set, well, I guess the sprite animation needs to set a sprite somewhere. So I probably need to have a reference to the sprite. But it could just go on an object that also has a sprite component, which is basically what I had with the other system. So it would go on this part, which would be the sprite instead of the player thing. So that has a sprite renderer. And so then I could have, rather than this animator thing, I'd have my sprite animation thing here. Yeah, that's probably right. And then if we look at the player, yeah, we'll listen to the glitch mob. Why not? Has anybody made it through all of this besides myself? Yeah, okay, so we're gonna go get component sprite render dot sprite is equal to strips current animation dot
That would be... Wait a second. Yeah, frames. And then that's gonna be... Yeah, current frame, basically. So I need something that goes through the animation, basically. So, yeah, so we'll do, let's see, speed is basically going to be something that controls T, I assume. So we're going to assume equal frame length, so that's strips, current animation, dot frames, length, num frames, is equal to that. So then current frame is going to be equal to, well, I need to know the animation length, don't I? But we're just going to assume equal frame length for now. Well, I feel like speed should be... Well, we can set up this to where it's got frames and it's also got like frame length or something. We'll just set by default it's to like 1/10 of a second or something. No, that's gonna be confusing. It's gonna be like frame duration. So the total length is going to be, yeah, num frames. So total duration is going to be length times dot frame duration. Is that what it was? Yeah, frame duration. So that's the total duration. So the current frame is basically just the total duration divided by the number of frames, right? Trying to think if that'll work. Should be able to floor that. Okay, so now we do this basically and set that to frames, current frame. So theoretically that should work. There's no null checking in there, but Num frames does not exist. Yeah, this is a problem. Let's see. Int num frames. Float total duration. Can't convert float to int. It's true. I'll just convert num frames to float then. Okay, I guess that doesn't work. Okay, I just have to do this, I guess. Dot cannot be applied here. Yes, so that needs to be that. Okay, so let's go here and let's remove this, 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 this. Go here. Add 3 strips, and then add the strips here. I feel like this should be easier, but whatever. If it works, then that's fine. It's better than nothing. It's better than sitting around much longer dealing with it not working. Even though I'm sure there's a better way of doing it. So it's got 3 animation strips. I'm going to set the default speed to be 1. And the current default animation to be 0. 0, 1, and 2. Alright. This is almost not totally insane. Now I just gotta go to the player and make it to where this actually properly deals with this stuff. I've got this animator thing, so it should be a sprite animation. Which right now uses transform, and I don't really know why that's the case. I might be able to pull it from here. Okay. So I don't really need to have this transform thing going on. I need to have something, though, that sets it to where it flips. So I'm going to do it like this, where we have a, like, flip x equal to true, and then here we got like flip x equal to false, or something like that, basically. Seems tolerable. That's not totally gonna work yet, but so then we can go if I'm not going to worry about that. I'm not really sure that'll work right, so. a second. Because this was doing... Well, that might still work. It might still work, actually. Because it's just... It should access the transform of that object. Hopefully. Okay, so that still works. The only thing that's not actually working is the animation part. Which I don't really know why it's not working. Because speed's constantly getting set to 0. Now here it isn't. Whee! So let's by default go in here and let's just always set player animation speed to 1. For debugging. And see whether that works. So that does work. The thing I wonder though is like, so T's getting added, duration, current frame. Okay, it shouldn't be total duration. Oh man, gosh. Okay, so it should be T, and then if T is more than total duration, basically. If T more than total duration, then T equals T minus total duration, basically. Well, no, we don't really want to do that. We just want to go T is equal to T modulo total duration. And that should be T... No, it's not T divided by num frames. Oh my gosh. Shoot. Done this for something else. Which was this thing. So how do we do this? Okay, so it's T divided by okay, so yeah, it's T divided by the total duration. Yeah. So that gets the percentage through there, and then we multiply that times the length of each frame. Yeah. I see. And then we floor that. So we take T divided by the total duration, and that gets us between 0 and 1 of the whole duration, and then we can multiply that by the frame duration, I think. Wait. And that gets us the frame. Yeah. I believe. No, that sounds wrong. It sounds totally wrong. Okay, let me look at this. We get the length, we get time.
it's not the frame duration, it's the amount of frames. So I don't know why I actually needed this total duration, other than to modulo it, I guess. So that should work, right? Current frame, total duration, num frames. And then, hey, look, it works. After all that, it finally works. Okay. So that works at least. I do still have to know what the animation is by index. But I could easily make a helper function for that and put a name on the animation if I wanted to, so. Okay, so that's fine. So that is totally cool. And I should be able to modulate the duration and things like that, if I want. So I'm gonna say by default, by default, that's probably fine, actually. But it should be able to actually be controlled in the same way that the animation speed was controlled for walking. So that, like, I can set it to 0. Oh, I screwed something up. Oh. That was just supposed to be deleted, not uncommented. So that should set it to where it doesn't move, and then it moves when I walk. Which looks really weird, but technically works. Yay! Okay, so it's not quite exactly what I want, though, because I want the animation speed to not necessarily be changed if the movement, if they're not moving at all, the animation speed should be 1, right? Because it should play this animation. Hell yeah, yeah, it's working. It just took me finally throwing in the towel and deciding it to do it a dumber way, which I really should have done to begin with, because like that tends to be my thing, is like try to do it the dumbest way possible that seems like it'll work, and then if that's not good enough, then do something from there. So now I just need to set different strips based on direction. Now I can have names and find them by names, or I can just set them by index. I think it's probably fine to just set it by index. So let's see, we should have a movement direction. Let's see, we have a movement angle. Okay, so let's try. Try doing this. If movement direction X is more than that, then we'll set the animation to let's see, how do I have that set up right now? That's at the current animation, so it should be, instead of current animation, it should be like Should be like index or something, right? So it should be like player animation dot index is equal to 1. Which seems fine. Okay, so that's actually up. So I really need like, should be y less than negative, and then we do that. And then we do if y is more than that, then we do 0. And then if x is see, this is like what I wanted. It's like something that was like super easy to just code in, like what I want it to do, right? Except I have those backwards, but it's funny when I move because like it looks like the hair's blowing because I'm moving, which is hilarious. But anyway. So that should be 1, and that should be 0, I think. Yay, look, it works. Obviously that will need to be replaced with just another animation, probably, instead of flipping it, because the flipping looks bad, but... Yay! Yeah, it's really windy. It's a pretty windy game. So I said I probably will want to actually have different setups for the wind animation. Also, the speed will probably want to get different than that. But I can change that really easily. Like if I want to, I just go to, where is that? Here, and I can literally just change this and make it play way slower. Look at that. Of course, it's right now it's not switching to a walking animation, but yeah, totally works. Totally cool. But yeah, I can totally just like set that to an animation, different animation speeds. Of course, I can adjust it here too, or should be able to. Well, it's controlled by the player script, so I'd have to turn off the player script real quick. If we turn off the player script, then I can control the animation speed just from here. Oh, I need to I need to set a bounds on the animation speed though, so that I don't don't go out of range. I bet it. Oh, come on now. Interesting. I wonder why it is still out of range. It must not be that. It must be like something else that set it out of range. But yeah, I'll just do a bounds check on the speed to where it's not negative. It's also possible if I set the speed too high that it might screw up, but I really don't know. But I might call that a day, actually, in a little bit, because I got the basic thing working. this point, it's just going to be a matter of doing the rest of the animations for movement, and it works, so that's great. It's not the greatest thing in the world, but I can set it to higher speeds. But I can also adjust like frame durations here. Ah! Some more stuff without a range. I'm wondering why, like, if I do that, if I disable this and then start it back up, it thinks it's out of range. So it's right here, it's this index. So I guess I just need to cap index and say index has to be is that what it is? Range? It has to be that. I guess I can make it an unsigned integer for one thing. Do I even have unsigned int, or is it like uint? I guess it's uint. So if I just do that, then I can just go if index is more than num frames, index equals num frames. Maybe that's it, but I don't know. Okay, so it doesn't like to consider these things without a cast, which is annoying. Okay, well, alright. I don't have proper bounds checks and stuff, but whatever. Why does it... It must just be because the duration, right? Like as I'm changing it, I'm changing the duration. So let's see, we got this current frame, strips index. Okay, that's the problem, because I need to go here. Current frame is equal to, there's more than num frames, then current frame is equal to num frames. There we go. That's what I actually needed. Of course, uint should be also that, right? Okay, that should affect it. I just, for some reason, because it said index and I have the name index on something, it threw me off. But yeah, so I should be able to. Okay, let's make that an unsigned int too. Oh, now it's a float. It's gotta be a float. Can I make an unsigned float? I don't think I can make an unsigned float, can I? No. Alright, alright. Just gotta do all these weird checks. even gonna help, but maybe it will. Not that I'm ever changing these at runtime, but... interesting that it doesn't actually get back to where it needs to. Let me look at what the debug stuff is. Oh, it's because T is an NAN. Somehow T got NAN. I guess because I moduloed with 0. Yeah. Okay, so we'll go if total duration is more than 0 for this, basically. That seems fine. I could just add it to this, I guess, but it seems really strange to not just have that. So if I do this, okay, so it didn't, okay, it did get it back. Whee! I'm flying around. Okay. I think that will do for now. I'm going to set this back to where it plays that at that speed. I need to do for the directional running animations, basically. Really just 3, I guess. And then that would be everything I need to do there. So anyway, so I'm going to call the stream for now, and I will see you all around on the internet. I hope if you aren't already aware that you're following the game on the blog. I try to post at least once a week there about whatever I work on. Last week I worked on some concept arts. The week before that I worked on some puzzles and more puzzles. And anyway, so there's a lot of stuff about the game there. If you're not following the Twitch channel already, then do that. And also you can support development of the game on Patreon, so post that link as well. So, thank you all for joining, and I will see you all around. Have a good one.